Sometimes I try to understand where Blake Lively's coming from and what's happening, and maybe even make excuse for her. And sometimes I think, how sometimes bullies act like bullies because they're being abused in their home, and they can't have control over their parents or their family members or their spouses. So what they do is they act out in other people what they can't do, what they're doing to them. And I try to see her where is she actually a victim? And then I go back and realize that she has done this before. She did it when she was in Gossip Girl. Ryan Reynolds wasn't even in the picture. And she turned the whole cast against Penn Badgley, who was a Baha'i too. So I've tried. I've tried to see the other side. I tried to look at her as a victim. And sadly, there's no evidence of her getting assuaged. There's just evidence of her being a mean girl, of her taking over the movie, of her controlling the whole cast. And to be honest, if it was just about, feeling uncomfortable, if we were dealing with mature people, and when I say mature people, I talk about Blake Lively, Jenny Slate, Colleen Hoover. And I'm not going to include Isabella Ferrer just because she's a kid. She's still young. She's not that a kid, but let's say she's immature. And, well, at least she's young. She has an excuse. But the correct thing to do would have been talk to them. Let them know how they were feeling. Let them know that they weren't happy with the behaviors. Let them know that they weren't feeling comfortable. I'm pretty sure if she would have said that to him from the beginning, things would have changed. But then she doesn't have leverage. And that's why I keep going back to this was just a plot to take over the movie. Because at the end of the day, she could have just talked to him. Let him know what was happening, how she was feeling. But she didn't do that. The same thing that Colleen did. She didn't feel good about that meeting that they had, the dinner. But did she say something to Justin? No, she didn't. He tried to communicate. He tried to make it up to her and try to, make it better. She didn't. And if you were feeling so uncomfortable, and if you were feeling so harassed, why are you inviting this man to your house? Why are you inviting him to travel on your plane? Why are you sending him texts, inappropriate texts? Why are you trying to meet with him alone, to read some lines with him? If I don't feel comfortable, if he was really a creep, a clown, a whatever else she called him, the one thing I would have done is stay away from him and not being with him without somebody that make me feel comfortable near me. I understand that you didn't want to just quit your job, which you could have done. She's wealthy. She doesn't need the money. She could have done it. If she was really feeling uncomfortable, she could have just quit her job. Forget about the movie. She thought he was so inexperienced that this was so immature and so unprofessional. She could have just said, this is not going to be the movie for me. But she didn't. So there was a lot of times that she could have stopped it. And even when she put the 17 points, things change. Which means that if she would have been honest And if she would have explained how bad she was feeling, how comfortable she was feeling, things would have changed even before that. But she never did. Because the 17 points wasn't about just saying that she was being harassed, or it was leverage. It was a way to blackmail him. It was extortion for getting what she wanted. There's no way that if you feel that uncomfortable, and if you feel that person is so unprofessional, like, first of all, I would have said something. And if nobody's listening to me, I would have put a complaint. I would have go through my, through SAG. I would have done anything in my power to uncover these creeps that she keeps calling a predator. But she didn't. She did it only when things were going bad and he didn't want to cover for her. When he didn't want to take the blame for her bad promotion. So, believe me, like, I'm trying to be objective. I'm trying to think about, what could have gone wrong. At the beginning, I even thought, she can come out and say, this was just, I was going to postpartum depression, and that's why I accused him of fat shaming me. But there's so many things that are wrong in this case. Like, you're fat shaming me, but you're harassing me because you want me. You're extending kisses when there's evidence that he didn't want to even kiss you. Like, you're sending him this text that you're so yummy and so sexy, but then you accuse him of calling you sexy. Like, it doesn't make sense. Make it make sense, because I really don't understand. And I can't see her as a victim because she's done this before. She has turned the cast against a co-star before. So the only thing I can think of is like they got so offended when Justin didn't want the rewrites from Ryan Reynolds. And since Ryan thinks he's like, the best thing that happened to Earth, he got offended. And on top of that, I think he was a little bit jealous too. He gets intimidated with men that has, a good body, muscles. And he also gets nervous because of his wife's history of falling in love with co-stars. So every way I put it, every way I try to turn it around, I only see two people here that are actually being bullies, unreasonable, just bad people. Who do you think are?